Hi, welcome back to the second episode of DIY Voter Postcarding. I'm Natasha, known as Natasha Arts, and I really enjoyed seeing the responses to the first session already. I've seen a few cards with borders out there. Have you tried it? I hope you do. Remember, if this is the first time you've seen anything about this, please go to postcardstovoters.org, get an account, get some cards, and get busy. It's fun to do. We look forward to seeing you. Today's topic is billowing banners. What the heck is that? Here's an example of some ribbon banners that I think billow on my cards. And no, I'm sorry, we're not doing bees today, but we're doing them next time. So I hope you come back. They seem like they're made out of satin and they flow in and out through space. Now I started using them because a year ago the Magnificent Mim used them in her Show Me How session. She not only divided her space with circles, squares, little different kind of frames, but she had a little banner going across. And as the Beatles would say, I had a right giggle because I remembered my very ancient past history in working with Victorian motifs and banners. Let me show you. This is me as a very young child, an undergraduate, with some members of Minneapolis clown group that would go to children's hospitals, and it's called the Aqua Jesters. They were sponsored by the newspaper company, and they asked me to decorate their truck. So what did I do? I researched all these Victorian images. This is the only other photo I have, and I thought the banner would show. But right up above this center here, there is a ribbon banner, and it's this very popular motif at the time where it ripples for every letter, and it has the words Minneapolis going across the banner. So it was something that I'd done a long time ago, but it was fun to research. It's always fun to research some different styles and see if it might be something that will apply to you. And guess what? Here I am doing these. Today we are going to learn some very basic banners. We're going to start very simple. I know you can do it. Take your time. And we'll have a few challenges too, and I can't wait to see your banners on cards coming up. So you ready? Let's start. Last year, after the Show Me How session, I made a sample page of banners, and if you're interested, I could send one out to you. There was really no way to get them out to all the participants. But remember, you can always search. They're called Victorian ribbon banners. So this is all you're going to need for this session. This is the least messy session. You don't even need a sketchbook, but if you have a sketchbook, even a small 6x9 or any kind of paper. You can use cards because with your excellent erasers, you'll be able to erase and erase until you have a beautiful card and put it in the mail. I know you ran out and got some clear rulers after our last session, and they might come in handy. You might want them. Don't forget your excellent erasers. Notice my magic rub now is an ick rule. I like to slice them so I have a nice crisp erasing line. Your excellent pencil. When you're ready to ink over, you can use any ink that you like, any pen you're comfortable with. I like to use pigment pens. This is a Sakura Micron archival ink. Pigment ink is actually more permanent than regular watercolor ink. You can look it up. They have their own sizing system. An 05 is actually 0.45. This is a Stettler pigment liner that's actually 0.5. So that's it. Let's get started. I hope you don't mind. I have pre-sketched the banners and you're going to watch me trace over with the ink. Sometimes you'll be able to see my sketch and sometimes not. I just thought I didn't want to waste your time sketching them out completely. Now, the fact is, I do sketch. I don't have a perfect comic artist's drawing style. In fact, a lot of comic artists really do sketch. And by the way, whatever your line quality is when you're finished, that's your line quality. Maybe you have a slight quiver to your line. That's a style that was popular actually in the Little Prince of all things. And maybe you have a sketchier style that even with the pen, you can't make this one continuous line that some people can do. It's a style. So here's what I did. I actually took an 03 pen and made some slightly sketchier lines. Why not? It actually gives a little more feeling of movement. And by the way, this kind of an S curve we'll be using a lot, so maybe you do want to practice. And this could actually be a banner. What do you know? So here's our first banner that is based more on a cardboard or paper folded banner style that's using a rectangle, and still doesn't have to be a perfect rectangle, but think of it like an Amazon box that you've cut up and you're wrangling into the recycling. I'm going to start with the rectangle instead of starting over on the left. When we show distance in a lot of two-dimensional drawing, we use a diagonal line. So the side panels of the box go at a diagonal, very simple. And the sides of the box, maybe it's actually not very rigid, and so we can make it a little more wavy and fun. And there you go, your first banner. Take a drink. So this one isn't such a rigid rectangle. It's based more exactly on the style of the Marvelous Magnificent Mim. So the front panel doesn't have to be that square. A little wave, practicing for our more satin tile style ribbons. This one is seen from down below, and so the angle lines are down here, looking up. Now, when we skip down to make the back row, we try to drop it the same amount as this is dropped. But hey, who's measuring? Okay, fine, if you want to measure. There, simple, whimsical. So now we're going to do a few that could fit on the address side, the half back of your card. Very simple this time, just curving into the distance and then curving towards the front. I'm going to hold it this way so that I can try to make the line in one swoop. You can pause if you want. Drop down. Now, because it's a curve, we need to find the tangent. Remember our math? The tangent is the way outer edge of a curve. Curve the bottom to match the top. It's a little harder to do. When kids draw a pop can, they'll make the oval on the top, but on the bottom, we just seem to flatten it. So here I go, curve. Okay, not so bad. There, our first satin, rich, sensuous, billowing banner. Okay, I'm going to do the same type, just deeper, in case you want to write the candidate's name on 2 lines. So again, look at this kind of snaking S for shortened or squished in the background. A little more forward in the foreground. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same on both sides. Where's my tangent? There it is. Drop down from the edge. Your pencil line might not have hit the tangent, so try to do it with your pen. Curve. S curve. Look at the curve up above, if you can, while you're making it, so that it'll be close to the same. Remember, ribbons are flexible. They might not be exactly the same on the bottom. Okay, this is very similar, but we're doing more of a scroll. I'm not going to do a vertical scroll like a hear ye kind of scroll. You can find those to copy. Again, because of our point of view and it's going in the distance, we start with a spiral, but it's a squished spiral. Making that S. Now, because it comes more forward, I have a little more elaborate scroll. Because my pen missed the pencil, I have to find the new tangent. Drop down, drop down, drop down, not too far. I've already established the height here. Curve. Look at my line up above. And then it gets overlapped. Don't forget these. Drop down. Drop down. There, isn't that cute? And again, we'll do the same style but deeper. If I start upright, I'm going to have a bigger tendency to need to pause. You can pause there. Lift up your pen gently. Might not make a blob. But if you turn the whole thing from the beginning, you might be able to make that spiral S without a pause. What do you think? All right, let's do these first. Drop down, drop down, drop down. Maybe I should have used a lighter weight pen. Oh well, I was on a roll or a scroll. Curve up above. It's easier to draw a straighter line coming towards you. Curve, swoop, and over. So look at this. You already have enough to get started. You don't want to spend 20, 30 minutes working on a banner for one card. So I do suggest you keep it simple, practice a bit, but I think you're going to kick in with these pretty fast. Does that mean you don't want a challenge? Of course we want a challenge. So let's keep going. Okay, so now look at this. This is a challenge. I bet you can do it. I know you can. Now this is a lot like that card with a bee that I showed, except that one I had really compressed because I needed to fit room for the bee. This one now, if it's going to take up the whole half side of the card, you can spread it out better and not worry about overlapping and scary things like that. I'm going to try to make my snake, my continuous S. Do it kind of sideways. Squished spiral. Around we go. Where am I? Can I see? I'm going to have to pick up. That's okay. Don't cry about it. Oh, I went off course. But still, I've got a pretty continuous S here. Drop it down, drop it down. Your kids love doing these three-dimensional type forms. And as it's curving, it gets overlapped by the next level. Tangent, drop down. I'm going to start here from where it is overlapped. A little crisp there. Don't cry about it. For the tangent, drop down, and with practice, you see you can get gradually larger. Practice or a bunch of erasing. And one more slightly larger curve. And there we are. Look at that. Well, what should we do with this? How do you write on this? I didn't want this to be a lettering class, but it's a little different, so I thought I'd show you a basic trick. Not fancy words, however. Now, if you have a long message, your words are going to bend and wrap with the ribbon. If you have a very short message and just plunk a single word here, here, and here, it's going to look kind of dumb because why make this fancy ribbon and then just plunk three little words? You would need to have designs that continue. So there's nothing wrong taking your pencil and sketching a little margin that follows your line on the top and bottom so that you've got an idea how to fit your letters. I'm not going to do a message that's going to wrap all the way around, but it's a basis. Might as well sketch it. So what are we going to write? I know. How about your vote is your voice? Voice will have to be kind of big to use the space. I'm a little nervous about writing superpower, so I'm not going to say voting is your superpower. All right, and I'm going to use a finer pen for the first line. Look, it's starting to bend. Whoa, it's really bending. I wrote a little larger than I intended. Medium pen for the middle line, a little click arts. Is your doesn't take up as much room, so I try to avoid starting exactly below the other one. Now I need a bold. Let's try this Stabilo Pen 68. And you can thicken it, make it even bolder. Wow, look at that. Aren't you awesome? Now we're going to work across the large side of the card. Slightly different style here. Nice voluptuous twist to our satiny voluptuous ribbon. Swooping sort of S. Drop down from the tangent. Drop down from the tangent. Look at where it is on your pen, not your sketch. Now I'm going to try to go all the way. Curve, you can do it up. I think I need to go above where I had it. Check, you've got all your little marks in there. I thought this style would fit in with the banners. Okay, we're going to use the inside of the card, but vertically here with the same style of banner. Over, swoop forward, and stop. Drop down. Right? Don't hold your breath, just breathe normally. Curve around, up, around, and over. Phew. No, I wasn't holding my breath. I really wasn't. Tangent is there, not where I sketched it. And I think, again, the ribbon isn't that small in the distance, so I'm going to go up above a little bit. And a few extra things here. I'm picking up on the really 60s retro style of somebody named C4Miles on Twitter. My triangular ruler has a very dull corner. So if you want to, you can use a ruler. I didn't. I must be getting good. A slight ridge at the dimension marks, so I'm just going without. I actually found transparent grid rulers that have a metal edge. But don't spend too much money, right? Am I sending a double message? Drop shadow. I'm going back to the turquoise here. Now, I think some people have a conflict between the idea that the letters should be personal and the idea of making them fun, bolder, more like a poster. So why not combine it? Now you could get a fine point pen, write Dear Voter, and make the whole rest of the thing very personal with your name at the bottom, but still have some fun. It'll grab attention, right? And for our final magnificent banner, it's a little scary. No, I mean, it's a little more elaborate, but we're ready. We can do it. You'll notice because it's symmetrical, it has a front panel similar to the box, but just curved like the proverbial can of soup. So just like with the box, I'm going to start with that. And there's nothing wrong with putting your ruler down, putting a dot so that you know where your levels are hitting. You can even measure the height of the banners. Actually, I'm going to start with the swoop here because I just want to. I want it to look a little more continuous. Drop down, drop down. Phew, now what do we do? I'm going to start at the end instead of working backwards. These are really flattened swoops on this one. There's actually a font I had at one time with circus type lettering that was on a ribbon like this. Fun times. I never liked the circus. I was doing the whole thing ironically. Showing the racism, decadence, misogyny, ableism, cruelty to animals, all of it. And our fun little split ends. Look at this. We are finished. This is all we're going to do. It's up to you to explore more. Whether you keep them simple or whether you make them more elaborate, I hope you had a banner time today. Banners give your cards that fun retro look that calls attention and helps frame the key words in your message. Have fun with it. So I hope you had some fun. I hope you learned some things and that you do practice. Of course, again, it is one card at a time, so don't get too complicated on each of your cards. Next time, we will start with some printmaking techniques that are very inexpensive that you can multiply across cards, save yourself some money. And what are we starting with? The cheapest form of printmaking out there, our fingers. Fingerprint art, starting with bees, but we will also do blossoms, butterflies, and what the heck, balloons. So I suggest you get those really small stamp pads because they're less expensive. The washable ones I did try. You can try them. I wasn't too happy with them. I did like the archival style better, but you can buy them really small. Start with yellow for the bees. You could just do yellow and orange if you want, but pink, purple for the butterflies, and blossoms, and of course balloons can be any color. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Bye-bye.